Hello YouTube and Infinite Magicraid community. Gandolf here, bringing you to the top of the Infinite Magicraid gameplay. So today we're doing the third part of our PvP series in hero roles, and today we'll be taking a deep dive at damage mitigation heroes and heroes that can cleanse. Uh, these two roles basically allow your team to survive whatever onslaught the enemy comes at you and giving you a good shot of fighting back as a turn 2 composition. Um, in part 1, part 2, we took a look at the damage dealer and damage amplification heroes, as well as heroes that enable you to go first. It's always not the best option to go second, but there are many effective heroes more and more coming into the game that allow you to do so and making that a very effective strategy. Especially recently with the introduction of Lydia, we have seen a lot more tankier compositions in the classic arena and in many comps. Also with the introduction of Nordak, it becomes viable to actually survive a huge beating from the opponent and be able to fight back from there. This is to take advantage of the fact that glass cannon, a lot of these damage dealers really have a big burst, and then they have a long cooldown window before they get their cooldowns back, allowing you to effectively hit them back. For example, Nordak, the basic attack does a lot of damage, so usually these first turn teams don't have a lot of sustain in damage, and also they don't have sustain to stay alive when taking a consistent beating. So this is the main strategy around damage mitigation and cleanse heroes and turn 2 teams. If you haven't got a chance to check out part 1 and part 2 of the video, the link is in the description below. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So when we think about damage mitigation, really it's about, can we reduce the amount of damage that's coming in? And the way you do that is you increase the defense, increase tenacity, put on immortality, put on damage immunity, just having a sheer heckload of HP. The game has really headed in this direction a bit with multiple patches that allow for this. For example, adding the 40% damage reduction in PvP to all arena type. Before it was only in classic arena. Now, damage mitigation strategy is probably more, I'll say, late to end game content. Early game, I don't think you will be able to get some of these heroes. All of them do require pretty high exclusive, and they're limited in some sense. There are some heroes with description that help you do damage mitigation, and straight up, I'm just telling you, the damage mitigation, whatever they're trying to do there, is not enough. Um, and you'll just get killed and overrun by any standard damage dealing team. And often, to be effective, you might need two or even three of these damage mitigation heroes uh, in in the team to make it effective. So, for example, right now we see a lot of combination of Nordak with Panda and Lydia exclusive 2 or higher, being an effective countermeasure to tank. Basically, Nordak increase everyone on the team by 35% of his HP. Panda is going to be able to do the cleanse and give the 50% HP buff to the team, put up defense, put up tenacity. Lydia is going to go first, brings in consolidation, 2 equivalent of damage reduction there, and could put up tenacity 2 as well. So great way of mitigating a lot of damage up front. Um, Seth is another option. And also Lydia at E2, I forgot to mention that, yeah, you can also reduce the incoming skills and basic damage by 30%. Sith is an interesting one. Turn 1 at exclusive 3 gives you a 45% of his shield. He has a lot of HP, so that's just the shield on top of that. Whenever Sith is hit, it has a high chance of reducing the enemy's skill damage or basic damage depending on what he was hit by. Um, so mitigation is all about damage reducing at the start of the turn to help you survive that big burst. Don't expect any of your heroes to move. You just have to be able to survive the beating. So having these pre-buffs, it makes it super helpful to have the strategy work. Now, early game, if you do manage to get a Catherine, Um, it does work because consolidation plus a 60% shield is pretty hard to break through unless they have some of the more OP damage dealers. For example, if they're just with, um, say, a Margarita, and you manage to um, get consolidation and the shield off on Catherine, early game I would say you have a pretty good chance of surviving the AoE coming in from Margarita. So then you have a solid chance of fighting back if you manage to get consolidation and the shield off on the first turn. Um, and also, of course, Catherine brings in the cleanse aspect of things. Now, there is a cheese option to all of this. Elsa, by herself, at exclusive 3, upon the death of one hero on your team, it provides immortality to the rest of them. So this is why I put Elsa in the first slot, and then what I do is I would then um, basically leave her at level 1, so she's most likely to die, allowing the rest of my team to just get immortality and survive the enemy nuke, allowing me to fight back with 4 heroes instead of, some of the tanking strategy requires, 3 or even 4 heroes just to help survive the onslaught. So Elsa is very good for taking down teams normally you wouldn't be able to survive the initial speed cleave nuke that's coming at you. So this is kind of the damage mitigation strategy. On the right, I mean, you will see all of the description there. The reduction from critical damage is nice for Melina, not enough. You get 12% damage reduction from the passive. From Guhana, not enough. Yes, you can get a 60% defense up. It will reduce damage to some extent, but not enough to help you survive. But if you're really going for this composition and you don't have all of these heroes, you could try to sub in for one of these. But in general, I wouldn't go here and focus on building one of the turn 1 teams unless this is really what you're looking for. There are some nice synergy here. For example, Gru is a HP based hero, so working with Nordak does kind of work. There, Brynhild working with Fagin. Fagin gives that 60% additional defense to the entire team, effectively kind of giving Brynhild a little bit of a damage boost as well. Brynhild can gain quite a bit of damage actually from a 60% defense increase. Finally, you have Seal, which was a hero from Halloween last year. I don't remember if he ever came back to any of the reruns. I think he came back during Jack's banner, but at exclusive 3, he can give immortality and resist buff. So very good against teams that don't have a strip, that just have control or turn meter. If you manage to go with Seal, this effectively will help you survive turn 1 and be able to fight back. But given how common it is to find a stripper and everybody has Panda on their team nowadays, you won't see Seal in low level, in high level gameplay, especially in classic arena. I mean, I'm sure he has a role to play potentially in championship, especially for uh, basically designing a team that if is that can really target the weakness of an enemy team. So I'll give the honorable mention to some of these, but these are not heroes you want to prioritize on for damage mitigation. Then we go over to cleanse, and here are a couple ways of cleansing because you wouldn't want to be stuck in a bunch of CCs while you're trying to fight back. So Panda is effectively the most useful cleanser in the entire game. As long as you're over 100% effective rate, you can cleanse. Now with the introduction of Lydia and Panda and a whole bunch of things that can reduce its effective hit down below 100, you gotta be really careful, and you probably want to stack as much effective resistance into Panda as possible while maintaining relatively high speed, which is kind of challenging to do. So really invest into those tough sets when you can. So Panda here will be able to cleanse off all the debuff, stealth your team, really helping you with both roles. That's why you kind of see these heroes go hand in hand, benefit from extra HP too from Nordak. Then you got Catherine, which removes a debuff from your entire team every single time she takes a turn at exclusive 3, and potentially doing 2 debuffs on when casting both skills. Now the challenge there is if she is CC'd, she's not going to be able to take another turn. So that's why earlier on in the last video I talked a little bit about some people like to say mix up the CC types. So for example, freeze and silence or freeze and stun, preventing Catherine from effectively cleansing for the rest of the team. Then you got a couple of heroes like Tuck, immune to freeze and has the ability to remove from freeze from the entire team. That's okay, but you really need to be thinking about, what if you get silenced, right? Mamook, for example, is immune to stun and freeze, but he can be silenced. Manchalo is a hero that can immune to silence and a few other control effects. I can't remember which ones. Gilliman can prevent silence. I mean, there are heroes in there that prevent CC from certain types, but in general, you're really looking for a hero that can protect your entire team. There aren't really that many options. So, and I hope they will introduce more of these heroes into the game, giving people a little bit more viability on all of their teams. So Panda, Catherine is your main one. Tuck can deal with freeze. Now there's one other way to create a pseudo team cleanser, which is through using Elic, because Elic allow you to transfer the highest attack, the debuff from the highest attack hero to it. So if you pair up Elic with Ben Austin, and Ben Austin is the highest attack on the team, Ben can use his ultimate and cleanse all the control effect off of your team. So you just need to make sure Ben Austin has the highest attack, and it's doable if you're using a bunch of support heroes in combination with, say, Brynhild or Agatha. It's easy to leave Ben Austin as the highest attack, and then leave one of them, the Damage Dealer, as the second highest attack, so that when Ben Austin attacks, they join attack with Ben Austin, but Ben Austin still gets the electron transfer protection, so you will be able to use him to effectively cleanse your entire team all the time. Alternatively, you can try Luna as the highest attack hero in the same team concept. Luna is not as optimal because Luna really brings in the ability of the attack buff, which kind of, it's counterintuitive. You bring in Agatha and Brynhild, that doesn't benefit from it, but that's another way of doing the the team cleanse. I would say Fiona because Fiona cannot be CC'd. Fiona plus Luna is actually a very good option because it gives you a double revive team combo, and you can really play around with on death effects. So for example, Popper at E1 on death stuns the entire team. Another one is Rumble. So this is the epic hero from the Forgotten, and he can on death cast AoE freeze on the enemy opponent. So what you can do is on death CC your opponent, and then use Luna and Fiona to just revive them and repeat and rinse the process. So this is a really cool way of abusing the revive mechanic and on death mechanic there. But you could use Fiona's skill too and cleanse your Luna, then use your Luna's AoE to cleanse the entire team. So that's another way of doing it. So in that way, Fiona and Ella kind of serve the same purpose, enabling an AoE cleanser by cleaning them first so they can clean the rest of the team. So these are some ways you can create cleansers on all of your teams. So if you think about it in a championship situation, if you're attacking, you could technically have 4 teams that all have some sort of cleansing capability and run them relatively fast against the opponent, so you don't have to worry about CCs. So pretty cool in terms of using cleanse tactically to free up your team for that counter attack after you survive the onslaught from the enemy. Alright, so this kind of wraps up our 3 series videos on the different roles in the team. And if you think about how we want to build teams, really you can go for a turn 1 team using these 5 particular roles. Another way you can do it is you can try to do some sort of damage mitigation, cleanse yourself, and then go back, hit them with a control. and then hit and and have one damage dealer to kind of wrap things up once you get them back, once you take control of the field. Or you could try to damage mitigate and straight then go into a strip and then go for damage dealers. So today, this really wraps up all the theory behind team building and how to, you put different roles together to create your team. We're going to have opportunity to do a lot of in-game play in future videos where I'm going to be going through live attacks in the classic arena, in the advanced arena, in guild arena, even in the championships. So looking forward to see you in those videos. If you like what you saw today, or if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.